My dad and I are beginning a race to the Bundesliga today with a bit of added spice.
Yeah, boy.
You see, a team from the east side of the country has not won the Bundesliga trophy since the unification of Germany in 1990. And so we look to accomplish this task as we become the managers of Hansa Rostock and Dynamo Dresden, two teams who have unfortunately dropped into the third tier of German football. And so the race begins as Dad and I look to become the first East German side to win the Bundesliga. We've just got to hope that RB Leipzig don't beat us to it. Day one at my new job, taking over Hansa Rostock, and we have no real budget to spend and only a very small amount to play with the wages. Dad is in the same boat at Dresden as well. Although he has much more in the bank, he still has no transfer budget and a small amount left in the wage budget. What we have in our favour here, though, is that both of our clubs are favourites for promotion in Season 1 according to the season preview. And so it's just down to the system, as I'm looking at a 3 at the back, given that my best players are my centre-backs. Dad's looking more of a 4-4-2 formation, as he has 3 really good players in his squad that he can rely on this season to try and get in promotion. I've got one main target in Zardes, who's a good striker option. That might be my main weakness. However, other MLS clubs are bidding as well. And of course, he decides to stay in the USA, so I've moved on and found a decent centre-back on a free transfer to go for instead. And that's because I have found a young striker in my academy with good potential that I'm going to throw into first team football this season. Meanwhile, Dad is looking for transfers and bids for Herbert Bockhorn, which is easily the best and worst name I've heard in a while. We are both getting rejected though and failing to make any signings this summer. Day one of the new season is underway though, and both Dad and I are picking up wins. It isn't until the next games in the DFB Pokal first round where we have very different outcomes, as I'm losing to Energy Cottbus and being eliminated by a team in our division. Meanwhile, Dad is putting on an upset, knocking out St. Pauli, who are in the Bundesliga. The following 2 games though, and Dad is dropping points, losing and drawing league fixtures. And so after seeing that and witnessing my young striker score goals, he's already thinking of changing his system. I don't think I need to change mine though, as Naderi, my young striker, is banging in goals for fun already. Right, Dad. Who can be the first East German side to win the Bundesliga? That's our task for this.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
The race to the Bundesliga, but with a side from the east side of Germany, which hasn't been done since, of course, the nation come together as one after the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
And both sides, of course, of Germany combined to just become Germany. Aside from the old East Germany has never won it. So we thought this was a comment left by you guys at the end of the last series that this would be a good challenge to do. And Dad, we went down to the 3rd division.
Yeah.
And out of all the East German sides, there was 2 that really stood out.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Dynamo Dresden for you.
Well, I picked them because my favourite team is Dortmund.
Yeah.
Stadium looks almost the same as Dortmund Stadium, all in yellow, so...
It's yellow.
Yeah. That's the only reason I picked this team. They play in the same colours as Dortmund, so...
Well, the kit isn't. It's more orange.
No, it's orange, but the
stadium looks like they've got yellowish seats.
I'd like the look of the stadium, and I thought,
the stadium
I'm going to go
looks
with that
fantastic.
stadium. Yeah, it does.
I am, instead, Hansa Rostock. Now, when I was letting you pick the team, I thought you'd go for Hansa because they have a ship in their badge, like Plymouth Argyle. Yeah. But obviously my mind was a little bit too complex for you, because you went with a colour instead of an image.
The look of the stadium more than anything.
Yeah. So I am Hansa Rostock. So we've got 2 teams actually, which, as you've seen, are previewed to be the 2 best teams in this division. I think one of us just came down from the league above, so we do have good sides. Now, we didn't have a budget to start things off. I brought in absolutely nobody. What I did do was bring a kid up from the youth academy who I thought looked quite good in this man here, Ryan Don Naderi, who is a 20-year-old German striker. And I thought, do you know what? Out of all the strikers I got, I'm going to put time into him because he's got a decent potential. So I'm starting him every single game. I'm going to lock this guy in. And so far, he's got 4 goals in 6 games in total for me this season.
Good start then.
Really good. Yeah. 4 in just the league alone. Yourself, Dad, if we're looking at what you've been up to, again, no signings. Didn't have the money to bring anybody in.
No.
But tactically, you're going with a 4-4-2 with 1 DM, one obviously an advanced playmaker.
I did start off the season with the advanced playmaker as a DM.
Yeah.
He was more of a an advanced playmaker, but I wanted to play him in a DM just to see how that would start off, because I do like 2 DMs, but it didn't start off too good. So I moved him forward just before the transfer window. So this is what I'm going to play with the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your schedule, it wasn't too bad, but a loss and a draw in there isn't, what you are really looking for.
Not a great start, so.
I mean, a 6-5 win.
That's a brilliant, especially away from home.
Yeah, you're also through the next round of the Cup.
Yeah.
Beat St. Pauli, who are actually a really good team. You're there in the Bundesliga, so you beat a team that's 2 divisions above you at the minute. So that's fantastic. And if we're looking at my tactic, actually, we haven't even really discussed it. Through at the back, we looked at the players straight away. The 3 best players for Hansa Rostock, or centre backs, and I thought, oh, here we go again. We're going through at the back. Let's just rock with it. So I've just put together a very simple three at the back. I've gone attacking because we're supposed to be one of the favourites in the league. Gone very simple in terms of the player roles, because these players, they're not amazing. So we're not looking at Segundo Volantes or wide centre-backs today. We're sticking with pretty much a very simplified version. And of course, Naderi is going to be locked into that advanced playmaker role up there. And schedule-wise, I can't knock it. We have drew 1 game against Osnabrück. We are going to get names wrong. Just throwing it out there early.
I like how you say we. I'm not even going to try, so it'll be you.
Yeah. I'll get names wrong. Dad will just not even announce it.
That's all I got.
Yeah. But he has got, as we say, he's got a hat trick there. Look, Ryan, he's got all 3 goals against Arminia Bielefeld, which is great. Lost to Cottbus in the Cup, Energy Cottbus, but then I beat them 3-1 in the league, so I'm all right with that. I'm not too concerned about the Cup at this point. It is my favourite trophy. In terms of how the trophy looks, but I'm not too concerned about it. It's been a good start.
Yes.
So, season number 1, we're both title favourites or promotion favourites to go up. There's 2 automatic promotion spots plus a playoff position, so the top 3 has the potential of getting up into the second Bundesliga, or Bundesliga 2 Bundesliga, whatever it's called. Let's see if we can do that in 1 season, or is it going to take us a while? Let's find out. Well, Dad's Dresden side adapted well to the change around in the tactics and started playing good football and scoring goals. That was until both sides clashed in Rostock late November, and Dad's defence couldn't quite handle our attacking threats as we stuffed Dad's Dresden side 4-0. Arguably, though, a much better result came in the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal, as Dad's Dresden team from the 3rd tier defeated the big bad wolf of the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich, in a 1-0 win in Dresden. Results at that point had certainly picked up for Dad, though, and he is still in 2nd place, but doesn't want the gap between us to open up anymore. What was crazy was my star man for the season was easily Naderi, who I promoted into the first team as he could not stop scoring. He became lethal up front for me, scoring in multiple games in a row to the point that we were unbeatable. That was until we travelled to Dresden, where Dad's side kept in quiet and bagged a 1-0 win. Shockingly, Dad had also gone on a crazy run, and that win helped his side jump into 1st place. Despite both of us being promoted already, the title race was now on, as well as the Golden Boot too, it seemed. His cup run was finished earlier on in the quarter-final stage by eventual winners Werder Bremen. But with 3 games to go in the league, nobody could have predicted the biggest bottle job possible could happen, because he followed going top of the league from beating me with 3 losses and finishing in 2nd place 8 points behind, while Naderi claims the Golden Boot. Well, there we have it. Promotion for both of us in that first season.
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, the start was kind of, suggesting that we would go down that route. You almost threw it away at the end there.
I was trying to, wasn't I?
I mean, you were 12 points ahead of Ingolstadt anyway, so you were absolutely fine. But 90 points for Hansa Rostock, 82 there in the 38 games we played. We had great seasons. I only lost 2 games.
Lost 2.
You beat me in one of them. 1-0 away from home, but another 1-0 against Saarbrücken as well, who I think that was the team that knocked out Bayern Munich famously in the DFB Pokal first round, either this year or last. I can't remember which one. But profile of the league, if we're looking at that, 27 goals from my youngster that I decided to stick him up
Good
front.
decision, yeah.
Brought him up from the youth academy. Of course, he's now wanted by...
Yeah.
all the best teams in Germany.
Are you going to keep him?
You've got 2 players up there, Dad, which is great.
Yeah.
However, one of them will no longer be there.
No.
He is joining Kaiserslautern and refused to sign a new deal. He was 35 anyway, so either that or you would have picked him up.
He was going anyway.
Yeah, but a Dynamo Dresden kind of legend, really, because he's played there for 2 years there, another 2 years here. He's played for the club for a long time.
Scored a few goals.
As Stefan, and scored a lot of goals as well. So, a bit of a lower league legend, I'd say, the old German. But a lot of our players dominated the average ratings. The player of the match was that man we just spoke of then. The clean sheets, Uphoff, which is my goalkeeper there. So that's great to see. And even assist-wise, we didn't get the top one, which was a Stuttgart 2 player, but we got the second and third one, which is great. In terms of the statistics, we pretty much dominated that as well. I mean, I dominated it, to be fair. There's a lot of... you got the Dresden amount of goals, 93 there, but there's a lot of Hansa Rostocks in terms of everything else. My defence was good, but I was playing free at the back. Of course, I was already out of the cup quite early on. We already seen that, so I only had to focus on the league, which is absolutely fine. Whereas yourself, Dad, you got to the quarterfinals, which is really good.
Pleased with that.
For a team in the third division.
Yeah.
Quarterfinal against Werder Bremen as well. Bayern Munich, you got past Bayern Munich at that point.
Yeah.
So Werder Bremen actually went on to win the whole thing as well. So you were only eliminated by the winners of the tournament.
There we go then.
So great season all around. Now we're going up to the second division straight away. You've got to obviously replace the goals that you're going to be missing here. You've got a backup striker, of course, who scored 23 goals.
Yeah.
Or your second striker. So you are still be able to score. But there's a few players out on loan. And you've got £3 million, which that seems quite a good budget.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that.
Financially, you've got the money because £9 million. You had £10 million at the start of the season. No debts whatsoever. I can't say the same thing. If we're looking at my finances, I am in debt. And if we're looking at the debts, I have got debt. So it's not exactly on a level basis, but hey, I got enough grief when we were in Scotland about certain takeovers.
See, yellow's a good colour. Well,
yeah, 315 grand is what my transfer budget is. Still enough for me, I think, to make a few subtle changes. And looking at my squad, I don't think I'm losing anybody. Plus, all of my players are good ages. Like, if we're looking at these by appearances, that obviously he's coming back, which is kind of handy. But if you look it down, 30 is my goalkeeper, 31, a couple of centre-backs, just good experience. We're not looking at players who are 35, 36 that I'm thinking, I need to replace these guys at the minute.
Sure, yeah. Good squad.
Yeah, my squad looks okay. We are A-okay going into the next season, which I think we've got a good enough squad to survive. Just adding a couple of one or two would be my desired ambition for this season. And to see what we can do there. But yeah, 315k is not a lot. But anyway, we're going straight into the second tier.
Yeah.
Right?
Pleased with that. Good season. Good start.
Absolutely. Let's find out who we bring in across the summer. Into the Bundesliga 2 then with our East German sides, and it's time to strengthen our squads. Given the lack of budget I have, I glanced at my youth side and found a player who must be good with the amount of interest being shown in him. But I did find a defensive midfielder who I have decided to promote to the first team, and he could definitely be of use this season. Dad, on the other hand, is enjoying the money he has to spend on bidding on many players. I seen a player though that I just had to go for, and I spent all of my budget to bring him to roster, which was also the same club that Dad bought a striker from as well, so I wonder who will have the better season. Dad is struggling, however, with a lot of his targets choosing to go elsewhere instead of joining him at Dresden. His scouts found him a quality centre-back that he decided to approach, but then just like that, the centre-back was signing for somebody else instead, leaving him having to go for a third or fourth choice option on more than one occasion on a transfer target this season. Alongside Answer, I have signed 2 more players for free transfers, a goalkeeper and another striker. Meanwhile, Dad was spending his budget on a different method, spreading across multiple players. And it paid off for him as the opening fixture, 2 of his new players scored in a cracking 5-2 victory. I was still smiling though, because after winning my first match 2-0, we are scoring 6 away from home in my second. And in the DFB Pokal, we are somehow battering a very good Dortmund first team 3-0, and we even missed a penalty in the first half. Our start to the season has been remarkable, and we've only dropped 2 points to Hanover, who are one of the biggest sides in the division away from home. Dad has lost the game 5-1 to the same team we beat 6-0, but he can still be very happy with how his Dresden side has started the campaign. But with our very different approaches to transfers this season, will I regret splashing all my money on just one player? Now, as the saying goes, Dad, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
You
well,
did.
I did. Because I didn't have £4 million, I'll be honest. I did it in installments because when I seen this player pop up, I thought, I need that guy on my team. So Ilyas Ansa, the 19-year-old striker, he is very pacey, very strong, good finisher of the ball, great off the ball, 6'4" as well. He even winds opponents up and argues with officials. Now, if that isn't somebody you want to get yourself behind as a Hansa Rostock fan, I don't know what is. So I've brought him to the club with, it was like £300 grand up front, which was all of my budget, and then stupid amounts of installments. And I even bit the bullet because he does have a release clause which is lower than what I actually paid for him in the beginning. But even if I just get a season out of him and he's good enough to get us close to a promotion spot, who knows?
Yeah.
He's actually started very well for me too, getting 4 goals in 5 games, 7.8 average rating.
Worth the gamble then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what's happened here, but we have somehow gone into a higher division and end up looking like we should be like absolutely slapping this division up. I mean, I haven't changed the tactic very much. I've literally just moved one of my wingers into a target forward and put Naderi in there because else he wouldn't play. And I still want to give this guy a game. But there are a couple of other transfers that have joined the club. Only 2, and we've got Stritzel here, which is a new goalkeeper. He's actually been playing for me as well. And then Guy and Benza, 2 strikers. So another striker come in, who again is quite good. And he's got 5 and 5 as well. So they're scoring goals.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, at the start of the season, we've
bad for me.
been banging in the goals. We've only dropped 2 points there against Hanover away from home. Hanover was one of the best teams in this league. It was an own goal as well to begin with, which isn't great. But I knocked out Dortmund in the first round of the cup.
That is good. 3-0.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. And people are going to roll their eyes and go, oh, here they go, just swanning all the way up to the Bundesliga within 2 seasons. But what can you do when you've struck gold like this? We have started off very well indeed. I mean, this is still early. We're only about 6 or 5 games into the season. Anything can change. But I mean, you're sat in 4th place as well, Dad, and doing very well.
Yeah, we're 3 points behind you.
Yeah, because transfer budget-wise, if we're looking at it, you obviously had a lot more. You spent £1.6 million there. You did sell a couple of players as well. And you probably did the smarter thing. Whereas normally I'm the one to do the smart thing. You normally do the really dumb things, which is funny. You've done the smart thing here.
Thank you.
Brought in free transfers.
I'm feeling a bit ill now.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch you off guard. And then you got some free transfers that have come in, which, instantly improved the side. Marco Rog, really good free transfer, but you only had to pay a little bit of compensation to go in your midfield there. He's been around Europe, in fact. He's been really good. Felix Platt, who's, again, a good striker for this level.
2 good strikers I brought in for this level. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Pace and strength, he's really good. Tall as well. Nduka Jr., 700k for this man at centre-back.
This was probably my best signing, I feel, for a centre-back. I thought he was really good.
And you did struggle for centre-backs.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
about 3 or 4 turned you down.
Turned me down, yeah. But I end up, I feel even the ones that turned me down, this was still the better one.
Yeah.
And I got him near the end, and he's a good Bundesliga standard as well.
Yeah.
So.
And then Rodrigo Moreira, another good centre-back, to be fair, who lacks a pace.
2 really good centre-backs, I think, I bought in. So.
Yeah. Lacks a bit of pace.
Maybe my defence quite strong, really.
Might not need it. He's also out for 2 months, so you've got the curse here.
Yeah.
See, when you're smart, you get the curse of the August injuries.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Dad, but there we go. So, yeah, you've made some great signings, to be fair, and your team, obviously losing the likes of your top scorer last year, recovered quite well. I mean, if anybody offered you 4th place after the first 5 games, you'd snap the hand off.
Definitely, yeah.
And you're sticking with your 4-4-2.
Yeah, I didn't want to change it, so got 2 new strikers in and 3 new defenders in. So I'm quite happy with that. Fingers crossed it'll go all right for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking sort of like, looking at that, I'm sort of thinking, top half of the table?
Yeah.
Just above halfway, I'll be happy with.
All right. Well, you're also through to the next round of the Cup as well. The game that you did lose against Elversberg, 5-1. Kind of those ones you just write off, really, isn't it? But you drew against Darmstadt. Again, not a bad result, really. No. Away to Darmstadt, who have been in the Bundesliga quite recently. Not a bad result, to be honest. So, good wins against Holstein Kiel, who were in the Bundesliga and just been relegated. Kaiserslautern, again, a very big team in German football, just in general, but in the second division, massive club. And you go away from home and you beat them very well after being 2-0 down.
Good comeback, yeah.
So you can't argue that this has been a great start for both of us.
Yeah.
But will it continue as we go into season number 2 in our race to take an East German side to win the Bundesliga? Unlike last season, the clash between both our teams in Rostock was a tight affair, and just the one piece of magic from the boys in yellow helped Dad claim a good away win. He even got revenge against Bremen from last season too in the third round of the Cup. No doubt about it though, Dad's team was cooking in the second tier, but I was right there with him also, just 3 points behind by the winter break. Neither of us could sustain quite as good a record in the second half of the season, but most important result came in Dresden, as I beat Dad 2-0. Dresden in the Cup continued to surprise people and even managed to knock Hanover out on penalties in the quarterfinals. Eventually, Dad's side failed in the semi-finals against a very good Leverkusen team. Although Dad wasn't winning as many games, he was still very hard to beat, and this league was more competitive. However, will he be kicking himself that he gave away those 3 points to me on home turf? Because that win was just enough to make sure that once again I was champions of the league, with Dad very close in second place, just 3 points behind. I don't know how we've done it. Back-to-back promotions for the both of us.
Wow. That is brilliant.
That's mental, isn't it? I mean, you almost threw it away, I'll be honest. Like 68 points, same as FC Cologne.
But looking at that, look how many games I drew. I only lost 4.
Yeah.
And drew 11 games, so I could have done this league comfortably.
Especially when you look at the goals that we scored and conceded, because, I mean, I scored 1 more than you and conceded 1 less.
Yeah.
And obviously our goal difference is very tight, but obviously you drew so many games and I lost more games, which is quite weird to look at. You beat me there 1-0, and then I must have beaten you 2-0 when we were at each other's ground, funny enough. But I just can't get over how we've just flown up both the league. I mean, I expected it in the first season because we were the 2 title favourites.
Yeah, we were the favourites, yeah.
I was thinking, let's get a nice little secure mid-table where like Heidenheim is right there.
Yeah.
Build on that. But we've absolutely stormed through this.
The only problem we've got now really is our squad good enough to be in that top
Have
league?
we gone up too quickly?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, all right, our squad might... We probably had a good squad for that league when we first started.
Yeah.
And we've just improved it slightly.
Yeah, I agree.
But is it good enough to be in that top league? I'm worried now.
Yeah. Almost like when Luton got promoted a couple of seasons ago, and you're looking at the side and you're like, well, a lot of these were League One type players.
They couldn't buy a win, could they?
Yeah.
Because you can't change that amount of players all in one season, can you?
No.
So I'm a bit worried. I'm pleased I'm gone up, but I'm a bit worried now.
Well, you might be all right because your budgets were okay.
It was, that first season. Yeah.
Mine were pants. So we'll have a look at that in a sec. But Bialek got yourself 20 goals there. He was also the average rating, the highest for the average rating. Guy Benza, which was the striker I didn't expect out of the 3 to be playing. He got 19, so that's quite impressive, to be fair. And Nico Neidhart got 14 assists, which was the highest there as well. In terms of the other competitions, obviously I knocked out Dortmund, but then Kaiserslautern knocked me out in the next round. But fair play to you, Dad. I mean, getting to that semi-final against Bayer Leverkusen is absolutely mental. So fair play to you.
Got to the final.
Yeah, it would have been against Bayern Munich.
You got 3-0.
Trounced over it. Yeah,
it's a comfortable win for them, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still impressive to get to. It's still very good.
That might have helped my budget as well. I might have put some monies in the old...
Yeah, well, that's it. There's always good money as well in Germany.
Yeah,
we know that. It's very good, very lucrative league to be in. You've got yourself £5 million with a 100k wage budget, which is very nice to start signing those free transfers that you can pick up from bigger clubs.
Yeah, definitely.
And build on this as well, that we can sort of invest in the infrastructure of the club. Obviously, that's what we got to do. As this reputation goes up, you want to be matching it with the training facilities. Obviously, adding more scouts and stuff, because when we started, I mean, you've now got the ability to get 2 more scouts, but when we started off, we both only had like 4 scouts each, so it's going to be difficult to find players. Scouting ranges, things like that.
As well, weren't they?
Yeah, like you can only scout lower leagues of Germany to begin with. That's the trouble I had. But yeah, up in that until, you know, you go into Europe, that'll be great. But yeah, you've got a nice little budget, to be honest. And squad-wise, obviously, you got 22 goals there from Bielik, but Platt also got 18.
Yeah.
The striker from last year got 13. So
pleased with those 2 signings. Yeah, they've done well, really.
not too bad at all.
And the age group of my players is quite good as well, like you were saying about your team.
Yeah.
So I'm quite happy with that as well.
Yeah. Looking at my squad, we got 20 goals from Mbenza. I locked in Naderi. He got 15. Nobody wants him this season. Answer actually, unfortunately, became a sort of a casualty of that. He got 10 goals, but he only played 19 games starting and 3 off the bench with 3 assists. So I'm kind of like, oh, I wish that Mbenza didn't play as much, because Answer's kind of like the future why I signed him for. He is wanted as well, which worries me a little bit, because of course his release clause is a lot lower than what I'm going to be paying for him. And again, my finances is, I mean, it's 11 million, which is the most it's been, because as you can see here, it has gone down at some point. We've only just been given the money here. But it's the debts and loans that worry me, because they're only giving me £1 million transfer budget with not a lot of wage budget either. So what I'm going to do with that money in the Bundesliga is going to be probably really tricky to stay in that division now. We've really got to scrap for those little bargains and maybe a loan or two, because we haven't necessarily used the loan market at all. Haven't needed to.
Well, I think we didn't we look at it for the first season, but no one wanted to come to us.
Yeah, we couldn't get anybody.
We were fortunate, really, that we were probably the best squad in that league at the present time. But we didn't actually know that, did we? We just knew we were the favourites.
Yeah.
We didn't know how it was going to go. So we did look for a couple of loanees, but no, we didn't get any. But yeah, I mean, you definitely have. I might be all right with.
Yeah, you might be okay.
Got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all dependent on our recruitment. Can we bring in some good players or not to stay in this?
Youth recruitment's got to be really good for this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite lucky. There's a couple of good players in our youth
Yeah.
academies. I've already got bids for one player that's coming in for a 15-year-old. I'm like, well, he must be good.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things to look at. But this is obviously our target eventually. Bayern Munich at the top there. 86 points. 21 points above Dortmund.
Yeah.
And they're dominating the average rating. Harry Kane's getting 23 goals. We've got a bit of a job on our hand, but that's for the latter part of this challenge.
Our target is to get into the 40s, I think. That'll be mid-table.
That would be mid. Well, yeah, if we... It also gets you...
Well, you look at it's 40 to 47 and you're into the Europe then.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of difference there, is it?
No, I'm thinking get 35 and we might be all right,
yeah,
to be honest. All right, then. Well... You'll have to tune in and find out and see how we do in season number 3 of the race to the Bundesliga. After being favourites to get promoted in season 1, I wasn't too shocked to see us both in the number 1 and 2 position. However, I definitely didn't expect us to manage to pull off back-to-back promotions. It could be thanks to our fantastic recruitment at both clubs. Although we certainly took different approaches to the money that we had. Me spending big on one player and Dad spreading out his budget across multiple targets. Either way, we find ourselves in the Bundesliga now, alongside RB Leipzig. However, they are far further up the predicted finish than we are, sitting in the bottom 2. I start off the window by signing Tatsuya Ito, a Japanese winger who is currently out of contract in the summer and has played a lot in Germany already. Dad signs Nankam from Frankfurt for just 500k, which is great for a player with those physical attributes. He is also on fire with the free transfers too, as he's bringing in 2 players in Marcinho on the right and Berika, who's a 6'4" striker and the perfect target man. Both of our sides were practically the same from the 3rd tier, so we are both making sure that we continue to strengthen our teams. Bringing in players that will give our clubs the best opportunity in surviving in the Bundesliga this season and avoid relegation. I'm also trying to keep hold of valuable assets, however my striker is still so persistent in keeping a release clause in his contract, and at least it's higher than the last one though. Both of us were very much looking to keep the same systems that helped us get back-to-back promotions promotions for this season too. However, given the difficult start to the season, we may have to rethink this idea before we go any further, as Dad was getting beat on the opening day 5-3 by Freiburg. I, on the other hand, had a much better start against Dortmund, beating them 2-0 in my first game in the top flight. Although things have certainly plateaued with a draw against Wolfsburg and a loss against Freiburg as well. Dad, though, really needed to look at things closely because it's 3 losses in 3 games for his Dresden side. Dad, not the best start to our first season in the Bundesliga for yourself.
I'm a bit worried about this already, so yeah, not looking good. So I might have to change a little bit, something just a little bit, just tweak it just slightly, and I've got a hard game coming up as well. That's what makes it worse, isn't it, really?
Well, this is the game we need you to win the most because we haven't really referenced it much yet.
No.
But Leipzig are the team, the biggest threat to us, really, to stop us from being the very first ever side from East Germany to win the Bundesliga. Obviously, they have one of the best teams already in Germany. We've done enough to get into the league without them winning it.
Yep, we've been
We're
lucky
all
so
good with
far.
that.
Yeah.
But now is the time where they usually start getting a little bit good.
Yeah.
They have the money, they have the young players, the young talents, the likes of Sesko, etc., who can turn into absolute monsters of the game. It's our job to stop them now.
So I need to win this game.
So no pressure, but yeah, we need to start beating them.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, you changed a couple of instructions around, see if this works out for the upcoming game.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, we're in a sticky situation because obviously we've bought players for the tactics we want to use. We didn't exactly have a lot of money to go splashing around on a variation of different positions and tactics that we could use. Because I was exactly the same. I only spent £2 million and that was on one player. The rest of the signings that came in were all free transfers, and Andreas Müller, as a £2 million player, is kind of a DM, the best looking DM that I could, not looks wise, although very handsome chap, very German, the best looking attribute wise player that I could potentially get. I'm keeping it pretty much the same. I've just changed around a couple of instructions. Where I was a lot more attacking last year, I've gone cautious this time round. Very similar to what you've done. Change a couple of instructions and try and suit the league that we are now playing in. Although I've had an alright start. I mean, I beat Dortmund 2-0, which
it's a good result.
It's a great result.
Really good result.
Ansa getting that goal. I mean, one of my best signings this summer was actually locking him down for a new deal, although the minimum fee release clause only went up by a couple of million. But still, I've got him there for now, for the time being. But it's all about survival in this first season. We need to survive in the Bundesliga and just hope and pray that Bayern Munich can still stay above Leverkusen. I think
if we can survive in this season, that would sort of like we'll be all right then, I think.
Yeah.
With the money that you can get in the Bundesliga. So
that's the thing, The money is always generous in the Bundesliga, as well as kind of like the reputation that you can gain from just having 1 or 2 good years. But yeah, it's just our fingers are crossed to hope Leipzig screw up.
For me already, no points.
Yeah, exactly. But there we go. What also is quite an interesting thing is the fixtures against each other. I thought I'd have a look. It isn't until January we play each other the first time, and it's not until the last game of the season where we play each other. We could be knocking each other out of this competition or get relegated. So yeah, that's quite funny how we play each other quite late on, but there we go. Right, season number 3 then. The race to the Bundesliga to be the first East German side to win it. It's finally time where we can actually win it. Just very much Dalby this year. Dad started the task of stopping Leipzig from winning the Bundesliga by getting his first win of the season against them. He wasn't the only one giving them a spank though, because at the end of September, they visited Rostock. And we gave them a bloody good hiding as well, winning 4-1. My biggest problem this season seems to be consistency, as I can't seem to string any results together, being eliminated from the cup also, and have to play Dad in the first game back. Dad is either just consistently good or consistently bad, as this run of games leaves him close to the halfway point in 14th place, just 4 points behind me in 9th, but only 3 points above relegation. When we finally clashed, it was in Dresden, but the home fans would not have been happy with Mbenza's goal, as it was in the 90th minute after they pulled it back from being 2-0 down to 2-2, just to lose the game anyway. Unfortunately, I lost the second game against RB Leipzig. and so did Dad, 4-1, but thankfully they weren't ever really challenging for the title. When we next played each other, it was the final day of the season, but thankfully we were both safe from the drop. And although Dad did beat me 1-0, we were glued next to each other in the league table yet again, and just a point between us in 12th and 13th place.
Well, I'm really happy with that.
Oh,
Both
100%.
safe.
I'm definitely happy with that. Let's come out of it.
Yeah, we're both safe. Leipzig are nowhere near the title. They finished 17 points behind Bayern Munich. We both beat them at one point. They lost 9 games, as you can see. Both of us got a victory over them. We both did also lose against them as well. And we both took a victory against each other.
Yeah.
And yet again, we are sat next to each other in the league table. Just a point between us. But it's nowhere near the bottom, which is great.
Pleased with that.
37 points is where what I ended up on. You end up on 36. 5 points away from St. Pauli, who've gone down, unfortunately for them. But hey, buzzing with that. We are all good. We're happy. We're safe from the bottom. We ain't got any players who are knocking around. Actually, you've got Kother there with 10 assists, which is good. I've got Kevin Schumacher, who got yellow cards for debt. How did he play enough games is what I want to know to get 15 yellow cards. That is absolutely outrageous. It must have been every game he was picking up a yellow with the amount of suspensions he probably had to take as well. But hey, I'm absolutely buzzing with that. Of course, didn't really do much in the DFB Pokal. That's just kind of like an added thing we'd like to do. You were second round, I was third round, but Augsburg and Leipzig were Leverkusen were the teams to knock us out, who interestingly finished in second place in behind Bayern Munich, who won the league title. Let's look at your goals, Dad, for this season. There was a standout player for each of us. You had Nankam there with 14. Perica, maybe, if he actually played more games to start off with, would have scored more.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I'm still not happy with it, so 26 goals between 2 players.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not good enough.
Especially when your other striker started 25 games
And he scored
and
9,
scored
yeah.
9.
Yeah, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, so maybe that's something to look into. And budget-wise, £15 million.
Yeah, I'm pleased with that.
Not bad. Second season in the Bundesliga. It's a definite upgrade from what we've had previously. I mean, looking at your finances, you got good finances, but you didn't have any debts and loans or anything like that. I believe I had some debt and loan, but I've got £10 million, 28 in the bank. Yeah, I've still got 8 million overall. But when I'm looking at mine, Anza is clearly my best player in terms of quality on the pitch. We're going by that, and goals-wise, he is wanted though. And he's unhappy, and he wants to move club. I just got to hope that nobody wants to come in and activate his £7 million release clause, because, yeah, he is not going to want to sign a new deal anyway. So I've just got to keep hold of him. 2030, 4 years' time, somebody's going to come in and activate that clause. And I've just got to be ready for it, I guess.
Shall I do it?
Oh, you horrible so-and-so. I'm lucky I've got Ryan Don Nadiri, who's a decent player for this level. Not too bad. He's also unhappy, but he wants a new deal, so that's absolutely fine. We can give him that. But I'm severely lacking in goals. So I think I'm happy that I've been able to not concede as many. But yeah, I'm severely lacking in goals. I need something, maybe a switch around or something like that. But then it secured me a place quite comfortably in the Bundesliga next year. I don't want to change things too drastically and almost, spoil my opportunities going forward. So I think, see who this summer brings in.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
We'll have a look at the transfer market, and we'll see what happens.
Once again, there is a good youngster in my youth team that I want to promote and potentially play right wing this season. Dad's eyes lit up though when he seen Ivan Toney was on the free transfer market and would be willing to join Dresden. However, what he didn't know was I'd already put a bid in for him too. He had backup plans as well with Dia from Salernitana, who was also available on a free transfer and who is happy to go for both. Arguably though, the best bit of business he would be bringing in is Bitshiabu from Leipzig for just 2.8 million. But he did spend his budget, in fairness, on securing a good centre midfield option as he looks to switch up his system this season. While I was waiting for Ivan Toney to make his decision, I made sure to secure Naderi on a new contract and without a release clause unless we are relegated. I was still doing business throughout the window too, as Philippe Sander of Gladbach has agreed to join me at the end of his contract. As does Peter Etebo, and the Nigerian defensive midfielder really improves the depth and ability of my side in the number 6 role. That was welcoming both Dia as a striker, getting that deal done, and Bitshiabu, which I really am quite jealous about. But what is the decision of Ivan Toney? Who is he going to join? Well, he's finally made his decision, and it's Dad's Dresden side that he's chose to sign with in the end, and I am worried. Because Ansa is still wanted by other clubs, and I can't offer him a new deal to get rid of that release clause. For now though, I am distracted with the very good centre-back option that I can pick up from Leverkusen for just £1.2 million, and I go ahead and bring in Timo Kubers into the side, which is a great deal for me. Before you know it, the first game of the season in the Cup is here, and Sanders banging in a 93rd minute winner for me. And Ivan Toney is really impressing the Dresden fans on his debut too, scoring in just 3 minutes in the Cup and eventually going on to get himself a brace. But can he keep that up in the league fixtures? The answer is yes, as he gets 2 on his Bundesliga debut as well against Hertha Berlin. Both of our sides enjoyed a good start to the season, getting 2 wins out of our first 3 fixtures, but then the disaster struck for me. As with just 9 hours to go on deadline day, Wolfsburg have activated Ansa's release clause. Fortunately for me, I was incredibly lucky to bring in a replacement just in time before the window shuts, because the deal was done within 3 hours.
Well, I knew he was going to leave, but I didn't know Wolfsburg would be absolute horrible so-and-sos, signing him with 8 hours left the transfer window.
It always happens to you, mate, doesn't it?
Activating a release clause that late on should be against any rules. Luckily, though, I managed to get Berisha in right on time. £6 million was all I really could afford. Is he better than Ansa? Don't really know. As the type of player, they are 2 very different players. Obviously, he lacks the physical prowess of what Ansa has, but mentally, he does look great.
I think he was the best you could buy at the time.
Oh, definitely.
With that amount of time you had left over.
I screwed over Hoffenheim because that was a release clause as well. So
I mean,
that's
you got him for a good price.
Effect. But there we go. Now, the rest of the team that I did bring in, so a lot of good free transfers, to be honest, who will go straight into the side and hopefully strengthen this team, really, because we both have got players still that we were using in the 3rd tier now in the Bundesliga. So we're slowly bringing in newer and better players with the very small budgets that we have, of course, and obviously filling out these squads. I did also do 2 more deals on deadline day. Giancarlo Simic was a loan signing, bring him in at centre-back from Leipzig, and Omar Richards, who was a free transfer and hadn't found himself a club yet. Both players, I think, will actually go into my first team. If we're looking at my squad, I'm only locking in 1 player this year, which is going to be this youngster, and he does look great.
Yeah.
I think giving him game time straight from the off, kind of like what I did with Ryan Nadiri in that striker position, I'm hoping will be a thing that will pay off for me in the long run. He's 18, he has great potential. Let's see what he can do for a season in a position that I think he can kind of thrive in. But the rest of the side, there's a lot of players, obviously, who's coming in and starting in there, but we've got the 2 centre-mids from last year. We've got 2 of the actually 1 centre-backs in the same keeper. Then the rest of the signings actually go into the team and make a difference. Looking at yours then, Dad, you had a great summer.
Oh, really good. I'm really pleased. I've got 1 hell of a striker in on a free transfer. That's
2
I've got 2
free
transfer. Ivan Toney in. Oh, I can't believe my luck with us getting this guy. All right, he's 30, but I'll take that.
I mean, we both went in for him. It was kind of like, right, we're both going for him.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens and see who he chooses. And he chose Dresden. So he made the wrong choice. Everybody's always questioned his decisions in football, and he's continuing to do that in the game, and that's absolutely fine.
I had a bet with you, didn't I, that I was going to get him?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
And I won the bet.
Yeah.
That's
bang.
Thank you, Ivan Toney.
We do not condone that. No. Boulaye Dia, good striker.
Yes.
Free transfer again.
2 good strikers with free transfers. So I think my transfer window, even if I'd only had them 2, I think I'd have been happy with that.
Yeah.
So
and of course, Raul Guti in that centre mid, £7.5 million, a good signing.
Good solid
this
midfielder.
One's arguably just as good as the 2 free transfers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Bitshiabu's a quality centre back.
Yeah.
You're weakening Leipzig in the future, which is great, and not really giving them a lot of money for him.
And he's only 21 as well.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a bit of a bargain, really.
Absolutely.
Getting him in now, get him in and put him into the team, lock him in there as well, and he'll only get better for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's changed the system.
Yes. I've got it with 2 strikers like that getting into the team, haven't I?
Yeah, going for a tactic you've used previously with Frankfurt. Tweaked it slightly to suit you, but this is the tactic you've gone for. 1 centre midfielder in there with 3 strikers. It's worked for you in the past.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I do like this tactic with the 3 strikers. So, I mean, if you put them on there, it's the 2 of the strikers I got in for 3 are up there.
Yeah.
So
Tony and Dia and Bilek in that DLF role.
Yeah, so I think that's a good strike force, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We've both started the season really well. I mean, you can't beat Frankfurt. I've seen you lose against Frankfurt more times than,
it's unbelievable,
than any other team so far.
You can pick 2 teams in that league that I'll always lose against. And Frankfurt's one of them.
You won both the away games and then lost against Frankfurt at home, which is hilarious. But the 2 away games, it's 4-1 and a 7-2. Like, the goals are flying in.
I mean,
for
it
you.
should do for those 3 up front, really, shouldn't they?
Yeah. Similar to me, I've had a good start to the season as well. I'm keeping things very simple to what I had last year. 2-1 against Fortuna Dusseldorf, 1-1 against Stuttgart, which is not a bad result anyway, away from home, and a 3-1 at home to Wolfsburg before, of course, they made the decision to sign Ansa from me. They already had Sebastian Haller. I don't know why they need Ansa as well. He even played against them, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
6.8 rating for it.
What were they watching then?
Exactly. Yeah, they signed the wrong guy. Look, Nadiri scored 2 against them and got an 8.8, and then he didn't even go for him. Hilarious, really, but there we go. I'm 3rd place. You're 4th place. Yet again, we're right next to each other in the league. But will it stay that way? Or will we be ending up having to scrap around at the bottom? Because season preview still puts us 3rd from bottom and bottom.
I can't believe that.
Well, I can.
With my strike force, I'd expect to be at least...
I think that's why you've jumped up to 16th.
Yeah. I'd expect to be 10th at least.
Yeah, but it's going to be a while before we're knocking around in the season previews in that top 6, I think. So we're just going to have to earn our way into it, to be honest. But at least, as long as Leipzig start to fail or keep failing, that's what we've got to hope for. And so far, they've only won 1 from 3.
That's a good start
which
for us,
was a great start for us, really. They even lost to Heidenheim there. So that a great start for us in terms of that. A good start for us in terms of what we've done. Can it continue? Let's find out.
Dad was the first one of us 2 who played against Leipzig, and it was a back and forth contest, and even Ivan Toney scored the opening goal of the game, with the final score in Leipzig being a 3-3 draw, as all 3 of Dad's strikers get on the score sheet. Dad and I finally played against each other in the early days of December, and it was the first minute of the match. Menya got himself a red card, which is my right back. And that caused a lot of trouble as Dad's team hammered us 3-0 in Rostock. That's been the story of our season so far, though. We are struggling with just 1 win since August, as we've been on a terrible run, sitting in 16th place, while Dad is actually pushing for a top 4 spot, 14 points ahead of me. And it's the unexpected rise of his striker Bielek who is grabbing all the headlines with 18 league goals in just 16 games so far. It was a while before I crossed Leipzig, and another red card cost me as they scored 2 late goals after. Although I can't really use that as an excuse in the second fixture against them, we are just really bad. Dad also lost a second tie against them thanks to just 1 goal scored by Inacio, which was the same result when it was Dresden versus Rostock came rolling around again in April. Unfortunately for Dad, after the New Year break, he enjoyed January but struggled to gain any consistency and lost too many games to challenge for Europe. I, on the other hand, was simply scrapping for my life down the bottom. And a Berisha goal in our 3rd to last game against Augsburg might have been a very important one for me, as that gave us a win to leapfrog Augsburg and out of trouble as they sunk into the relegation playoff zone and down to the 2nd tier after losing the relegation playoff with Hanover from the league below.
I mean, I was just really lucky that I think I played Augsburg because those final 4 games, you were almost sending me down.
Yeah.
And then Bayern Munich and Leipzig, when you're in a relegation scrap, is not what you want to see. I didn't even score a goal against them. But, I mean, I was safe. I was fine in the end. 28 points. Augsburg was the team who got themselves relegated. Yeah. But, of course, that was kind of in a relegation playoff. So I would have gone into a playoff situation and fought for my position against Hanover. So there was obviously that kind of safety net, because there was no way I was ever getting relegated with Union Berlin at 20, which is absolutely fine. Leipzig were still 22 points behind Bayern Munich. That's all good.
Yeah.
I think the most shocking thing, Dad, I mean, not you finishing in 8th place, because that's great development from you, but your player getting the top scorer after being terrible last year.
There you go.
He had, 8 goals with it in like 29 games?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Now 24? And picking up the golden boot? What a difference. And a 7.44 average rating. And it wasn't either Ivan Toney or Dia.
No. They probably just set him up, though, didn't they, really?
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
Ivan Toney had 10 assists.
Yeah, there you go, see?
So, but there we go. Diogo Costa's in the league, by the way, Dad. He's picked up the most clean sheets.
He's
so
going to, isn't he?
defeating Bayern Munich is probably going to be the hardest thing we will have to do
With him in goal, definitely.
in this challenge. But also, we kind of need them to be that good at this point.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
To stop Leipzig.
Yeah.
That's what we need to happen. They lost 2 games all season. That's absolutely fine.
Probably going to take us another three seasons to get anywhere
start
near
challenging.
them.
Yeah, I
agree.
agree. I agree. In terms of Leipzig, I mean, we didn't manage to beat them this season, but luckily the likes of Hertha, another team from Eastern Germany. Yeah, I guess they kind of are East. They're located East Germany, obviously, but Berlin itself was split into East and West, wasn't it? During the West and East Germany era, but they've lost twice to Hertha there. Heidenheim as well. We've seen that at the start of the season. They did a good job for us getting a nice little result against them. I need to sort things out though, because that's not good enough for me. You've already took a big leap ahead. If you're looking at points, it's nearly 30 points.
Yep.
That's 10 wins. You had 11 wins more than me. I just drew quite a lot of games. So fantastic from you, Dad. Where did it all go wrong for me? Well, of course, I lost my best striker, my top scorer this season. Only got 6. So definitely need to look at a new striker. Definitely need to look at a new system.
You've got 3 strikers there and you scored 11 goals.
Yeah. Awful. That guy there scored 3. I signed him for 6 million. So I don't know how.
That was a big loss for you there, losing that your main player then, wasn't it?
He is wanted.
Oh, he's got to go then, isn't he?
And for a price, that's a lot more than what I paid for him.
He's got to go.
He is out of here. The youngster that I signed. Now, good bit of development from him. If I'm looking at any positives this season, it's Yannick Mine.
Yeah, 100%.
18 for finishing now. The physical development in him just alone. Mental's still lacking, but he is only 19.
Yeah.
That was my game plan, to get him to a point to be a first-team player, and that worked.
I think you could be in that role that he's played as a winger. You can leave him out there as well and play another season with him locked in, really, couldn't you?
I agree.
That's the sort of one position you can sort of like, or I'll leave
That's
him
his.
there.
Yeah, that's his. We can just let him have it.
Yeah.
You carry on and just keep developing as much as you possibly can in that role. I need to find goals elsewhere, though. That's the big trouble. I only have a £7 million transfer budget. Where's that money gone?
I thought you'd have more than that.
I know.
So you definitely need to sell that player then.
Yeah, finances are looking rather bleak. I did opt to increase my training facilities last season, so I'm now up to 4-star. Was that a bad move? I don't think so in the long run, but yeah, I mean, debts and loans, we're almost clear of that. Maybe I need to sell a couple of players if I do want to bring them in, but definitely it requires a new system, 100%. I need to ditch the 3 at the back at this point now. Dad, your Dresden side, though, did you proud. This is a great season for you. 17 goals for Ivan Toney and 14 for Dia, but 25 in total for Bialek.
Yeah.
Great season for him.
That's a lot better.
Even like your winger got more goals than pretty much all of my 3 strikers put together with 13 assists. So he's been a great signing for you. Locking in Bichiabu was a great move.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, my winger and the development he's had good development in terms of the star power in your current
the good
ability.
thing as well, he's a left-footed as well, and they're usually hard to find a really
Very
good one.
hard, yeah.
So I've got one in already, so I've just got to find a right-sided one there to go with him, I feel.
He's also homegrown because he's played so long in the country, which helps in terms of registration. Your transfer budget, though, 19.
Pleased with that?
Yeah, so I've
got a couple of positions in my head where I think I need to improve. Goalkeeper being one of them.
What? Oh.
Just as a little surprise for you,
Little
there, guys.
treat
Little
for you, is
surprise.
it?
Yeah,
Little
I might
treat,
find.
pick
I
up a
might
new
go have to go
goalie?
out and find a new goalkeeper.
Yeah, not surprised one bit. But I definitely think this system is something you can work off of.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be ripping this one up and starting from scratch. Maybe a couple of tweaks here and there, but yeah, you're along the right lines for sure with the players that you have at your disposal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But there we go. All right, the race to the Bundesliga. Dad's got a lot closer than I have. I've just survived in the Bundesliga, if I'm honest. So certainly things need to change. but how much?
By season 3, we have made it to the Bundesliga and survived in 12th and 13th, while Leipzig are still some way off the top. Season 4 is where things were very difficult as Dad's Dresden side continued their growing success and finished well, while my Rostock side barely survived in the league after just finishing a point away from safety. But the summer started horribly for Dad as Ivan Toney, who he signed just last season, had a release clause activated and refused to sign a new deal. He left swiftly, but it did allow Dad to have a big transfer budget as he then added £30 million to signing new targets. And that's exactly what he did. He spread the money well, first of all bringing in Del Prato, who covers multiple defensive positions. Suso then came in defensive midfield, a player that only cost 5.8 million, but can also cover multiple positions and is only 22. Jamil Siebert next, also from Dusseldorf, and the defender looks good for just his £3.6 million price tag. But there was still more to come, and Dad signed yet another centre-back, as well as a goalkeeper, but there was still a hole up front from Tony's departure. Meanwhile, my transfers with much more of a smaller budget started to come through, beginning with a goalkeeper on a free transfer. Patrick Pfeiffer then joined soon after with just £3.6 million, and he will likely go straight into my Rostock back four, which really needed improving. That's changed his system, seen a new winger join from Udinese, and finally, striker targets is next. His first option was signed as Cameron Archer joined the club, but he wasn't Dad's main target. That was in fact Anton Matkovic, but Dad unfortunately lost his signature as he went to Cologne instead, but Dad had a backup plan. Because he went for Ilyas Ansar, who just 1 season ago left my Hansa Rostock side to move to Wolfsburg, where he's only scored 1 goal since. I was continuing to secure my defence, signing Simic, who I had loaned last season, and I was switching things up tactically and opting to go for a formation with 3 players down the right hand side, with 2 new signings in Van Uijk and Lazaro coming in. Dad's new system has adopted a 4-4-2 with 2 defensive midfielders, hence the wingers that he's brought in. And the first game of the season was wild as Naderi scored a hat-trick for Rostock against Bremen. Unfortunately, it came in a 5-4 loss at home, which was certainly unexpected. And it seems like defensively we are letting ourselves down while Naderi can't stop scoring. Meanwhile, Dad had a really tough start away to Bayern Munich, but scored pretty much from kickoff and then somehow managed to keep a clean sheet to pick up all 3 points. And with his good start to the season, we just gotta hope he hasn't allowed Leipzig to get a head start, as they currently sit top of the league. Right, Dad, a weird start to the season. Leipzig are top, so we're a little bit like, I mean, it's very early days.
Yeah, it's early days, yeah.
But
I'm
Bayern
only
Munich,
a point behind them.
Yeah, Bayern Munich have drew and lost one. Thanks to you, obviously. You beat them, which is a great result for you. You're currently sat in 5th.
How did I do that?
Yeah. I'm only sat with 1 point, but if we're looking at like my results, actually, I'm not actually too worried about it. A 5-4 against Werder Bremen, just bad defensively, but they had a penalty. All right, it could have been worse, but 2-2 away from home against Gladbach isn't too bad. A loss to Frankfurt, we all know how good they are. So I ain't worried yet.
You've got an odd couple of games coming up, though.
That's the trouble.
So you could lose 2 more and get sacked?
I could, yeah. I doubt they'd sack me that early, but... And in December...
Oh, both the teams are together.
2 very important games in December. So I need to book my ideas up in these 2 months here before we go. But I think transfer-wise, I had an okay summer. I didn't improve my strike force, but I kind of put my trust in Naderi. And boy, has he repaid me with the amount of goals he's got at the start of the season. Yeah. But I think changing my system this season to this 3 on the right-hand side, which I have been known to do recently. We've got Mayen, who I've been introducing into the first team already. Lazaro joined on a free transfer, as did Van Uijk. 2 really good signings who can both work down that right-hand side. So I'm interested to see how it does anyway. Berisha, of course, bringing him in last season, didn't do too well with just 3 goals. I'm hoping he can have a better season this time round. That was my only concern really with my strike force, was maybe I would need that. But looking at yours, Dad, the big loss, of course, was Ivan Toney going.
Yeah, it was, but you expect that. I mean, I'm happy with the money I got.
31 million from a free transfer in 1 year.
That's brilliant, isn't it? So
yeah, it ain't bad.
It helped me out a little bit. So, yeah, I'm quite disappointed but happy because it gives me the money to sort of strengthen the squad, I feel.
Yeah, you definitely did that. You brought in quite a few good players. Replacing him, of course, you brought in Cameron Archer, who's good.
Yeah, I mean, he can be really good as well. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can hit the ground running.
But then, of course, my old striker, Ilyas Ansar.
And I know he can do it in this league because he's done it for you, so... Yeah, it's sort of like I bought 2 good strikers, I feel, and a couple of other players for the money that Ivan Toney sort of went out for. So
Yeah.
it was a good deal for me, really.
Yeah, the last season he had for me, he had 16 goals in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Which is our first year in the league. Which ain't bad at all, because we were basically playing with a lot of players from the 3rd division.
No,
if you remember rightly. Our squads weren't that good.
Yeah.
So 16 goals that season was great. Obviously, I lost him last year to Wolfsburg. He only got 1 goal for them.
He only played,
But he only played 4 starts.
Yeah, so they didn't sort of like start him, but I mean, I might not even start him soon. But I'm hoping he'll do well for me though.
Yeah, you're rocking a 4-4-2.
Yeah, so he's there. He's starting, so he could be good.
Yeah, and obviously results have been great for you. But we just gotta hope we kind of make sure Leipzig don't get any better.
Yeah.
And see where we end up, because right now we're at either ends of the table. I need some catching up to do, so let's find out what happens. Thankfully, Dad was also not letting Leipzig off the hook when they travelled to Dresden, as Dad's side was relentless and didn't even let them have a shot on target. The day that Leipzig came to Rostock, however, might as well have been my best performance of the season, as we were so clinical and battered them 6-1 despite only having 6 shots on target. However, that was also the same result as when I played Dad's Dresden side literally in the next game. How embarrassing. So although we could give that kind of result, we also took it more than once. But the league has one outstanding name near the top, and as it stands, it's Dynamo Dresden sat in 3rd place. They even did the double over RB Leipzig, winning the away tie 2-0 as well. And Dad's side even won a big quarter-final of the DFB Pokal, but also look who won theirs and is now in the semi-final against none other than Leipzig in what I think is an all-East German semi-final stage. But which one of these clubs will go on to reach the final and lift my favourite looking trophy? Well, Dad's team was first in their semi-final and they got the job done, defeating Union Berlin 2-0 to reach the final. I unfortunately fell behind against Leipzig in my semi-final thanks to a back post headed corner. But in the second half, we got ourselves back in the game thanks to a very well worked throw-in and to score at the back post, and a penalty shortly after gave us the lead, which we held on to, meaning we go through to the final of the DFB Pokal to face Dad, and it's Dresden versus Rostock. The match after the semi-final, we played Leipzig in the league and ironically got nubbed 9-2. The Friday after, though, under the lights, we did play Dad before our cup final and take the lead with a well-worked goal, only to be paid back from the spot. But after that, we have just 2 games remaining, and that leaves Dad in 2nd place for now, already behind champions Bayern, while I'm sat enjoying 6th place. However, both of us lost our last 2 fixtures and slipped down to a more modest position in the league. I'm sure neither of us would care though if we were the ones to lift the DFB Pokal trophy. And in Berlin, the final didn't take long to heat up, as a fantastic cross from Lazaro was met by Nadiri to open the score in just 18 minutes in. But just 8 minutes later, and Dad's Dresden side are pulling things level with a header of their own. Dad then took the lead from the penalty spot, but 10 minutes after that, Schmidt is pulling it level to send the game into extra time. But as extra time got underway, it wasn't long before the winner was scored from Andreas Muller in a Hansa Rostock shirt, and the DFB Pokal trophy has Hansa Rostock's name on it for the very first time in its history. The irony, by the way, of when we finally get to a cup final, we're both in it.
Yeah, I mean that's brilliant, really. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So
The draw being that good for us, but
Yeah.
come on, Rostock, what a win! Andreas Muller in the 94th minute. It was a very back and forth game as well.
yeah.
And it was close. I took the lead, you scored within 10 minutes. You took the lead, I scored within 10 minutes. Went to extra time in the 94th minute, Andreas Muller with the goal. But fair play.
Yeah, I mean, it was
a cracking
It was an
final.
evening game as well. You look at the possession as well. There's only a couple of points in that as well. So
Yeah,
very even game.
Very even.
So yeah, well done, mate. Yeah,
On the day, I just picked you at that
yeah.
one. But
That's
in the
way it goes,
league,
isn't it? I'm
though,
just glad one of us has won it.
yeah, I mean, that's it. It's
Yeah.
not the end of the challenge, of course. The
No.
end of the challenge is win the Bundesliga. This is just a nice thing to do. And it's my favourite looking trophy on the planet. So I'm happy of winning that DFB Pokal trophy, and I will sleep well with that in my bed tonight. Absolutely. But in the league, Dad, I mean, with 2 games remaining, you were 2nd. You threw it away.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
With 2 bad results. I also lost the last 2 games as well. We're now both in the Europa League next season, so it'd be nice. Maybe we meet in the final of that one as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I dropped down to 9th place from 6th. You dropped down to 5th place from 2nd. Frankfurt picked you into 2nd place.
I'd have never caught Bayern. So I mean, look how far away they
Oh,
were.
they were
16
champions.
points. So
Like 2 months
I
before.
don't mind too much because it sort of like kept me out of the Champions League and got into the UEFA Cup. So
Yeah.
that does me a little bit of a favour as well.
Yeah.
I could come through and win that one.
Showing your age now, calling it the UEFA Cup.
Oh yeah, the Europa League Cup.
Yeah. But the three teams above you, all on 60 points.
Yeah.
All in the Champions League spots. But the good thing is, not one of them was Leipzig.
Yeah,
They're
definitely,
down in
yeah.
8th place on the same points as me. But I get the European football and they don't.
Yeah, even better. Hey?
So we've made them a lot worse at
Yeah.
this point, which is obviously our intention. Now, if we're looking at player statistics, you would suggest that I would be higher than 9th because I had 2 of the top 4 goal scorers with 18 and 15. Berisha was also up there with the highest average rating. I was slagging him off at the start of the season. Well, not slagging him off, but saying how he needs to be better.
Yeah.
Both our strikers are there. We've also got Nadiri with 5 man of the matches. You've got your keeper in terms of the clean sheets, but Lazaro 15 assists
Good.
for the right midfielder that I
Yeah.
got for a free transfer. So they've been really good, but obviously the cup win was the highlight for me this season. Berisha with the top scorer there. On your side of things, Dad, we've got Bielik with 18 goals, the same amount pretty much. And runner-up, unfortunately, still a good
11 either,
season.
was he? So
No, not to begin with.
No.
Not to begin with, but yeah. Still a solid season. He was the only striker to actually get above 10. Answer, only getting 5.
Disappointed with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at that, you'd think, how the hell did I nearly finish second?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
He didn't even have that many injuries either.
No.
Just didn't play as much as what you anticipated.
yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not happy with that. The amount of goals that I've scored, yeah, I'm not happy with that at all. I'd like to score more goals than that.
You got 40 million though.
Pleased with that.
40 million to
Just goes to show
change things
how
up.
far forward we've moved now. Get
Yeah.
into that Bundesliga and you start getting a bit of money.
Exactly, yeah. European
good.
football as well, so that's obviously a big positive. Finances, you got £67 million in there, no debts alone, so that's obviously really good. On my side of things, 21 goals from Berisha, which I'm really happy with. He's 30 and wanted, and he's unhappy. What is he unhappy with? Wants him. He's gone, isn't he?
Yeah.
Already wants to move. He's wanted 30. That's him gone.
100%.
Yeah. Or dropping them myself. Brighton, Alveda, and Al Fatah.
Get in my car. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I won't drop him to Saudi. Like maybe to Brighton, he'll have a nice little weekend there. See a couple of friends who live nearby. But yeah, he can drive himself to Saudi Arabia. He'll be paid enough, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But Nadiri was 17.
It's good.
Really happy with that. I mean,
Yeah.
he's wanted as well, I believe, but I ain't gonna get rid of him. The same 2 clubs as well, which is quite funny. So I just need to find a replacement if I do intend to sell Berisha, possibly. But yeah, the nice little bit of development on Yannick Mine again, not bad.
Yeah, he's looking good now.
Yeah, even though I finished down in 9th place in the Bundesliga, I did quite like this formation.
Well, I couldn't handle it in the final, could I?
Well, that's it.
It's too overbalanced for me.
Yeah. Ironically, though, obviously my cup run, we mentioned it earlier, but a 2-1 win against the semi-final against Leipzig, and then losing
You got
9-2.
hammered.
It's just really funny,
Oh,
especially
dear.
when earlier on in the season I beat them 6-1, then lose to you 6-1. It's just so weird how that played out. I was the most inconsistent team ever. If you look at this January here, 2-1 win, 3-0 win, 2-0 win, 2-0 win, 7-1 loss. Like, what is...
I think your defence went on holiday that day,
yeah,
didn't they?
what happened there, lads? Like, pretty much that's my first team as well. Awful. I've got £27 million. Good amount again.
Well, you know
Good
you're gonna
amount.
Have, you know you're going to have a couple of million for the Mehdi as well, don't you? 30
Yeah,
million for your striker.
if he goes as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Just short 50 million in the bank, so plenty to do this summer. But I've got myself a trophy. I began the summer signing a young striker from Leipzig who looks ultra talented for just £12 million, but only 21, and has all the makings of a very good goal scorer. Dan is also signing a marquee striker as well as he welcomes a young Argentinian, 6'7", with crazy attributes in pace, agility, and dribbling and finishing for just 5.6 million. He is on fire right now as signings, as he's also bringing in Romeo Lavia to Dresden too, as well as Broderic for just £5 million, who is a first-team left-back that goes straight into his starting 11. I was excited by my own signing of Eric Martel for just £8 million, as my defensive midfielders need some competition. But I did miss out on signing Mavropanos, who opted to stay at West Ham instead of signing for me. And while I was losing a centre-back target, Dad was signing one for £7 million. There was a lot of interest and bids for Berisha Berisha after his great season, and I decided to cash in on the 30-year-old. And that's because I discovered a cracking young striker from Mexico for roughly the same price, who is only really lacking pace at the minute. I realised I lost my left back as well, so I needed to bring in two as I didn't have an out-and-out one, which is a problem looking at our squad. Daz decided to switch up his tactic, which I thought was a bit bizarre, but opted for his favourite three up front with two DMs. I then lost my right back after a release clause was activated, which meant I had to be back into the transfer market. However, it turned out it wasn't necessary in the end, as he decided to commit his future and stay with a new contract. Dad still had money left over and spent big on bringing in Bišek to the club as a better centre-back option for his Dresden side. Super Cup time though, and Hector Nava is scoring a brace against Bayern Munich in a 4-2 win on his debut. And we keep that run going with a good win away from home with our opening fixture. Dad, on the other hand, is struggling as he loses against Bayern Munich in his first match despite new striker scoring. But it's a really tough start as he also picks up a loss against Leipzig this early on and is sat in 14th place as the window shuts when I'm sat in 5th. Alright Dan, a bit of a completely opposite season at the start than what we had last time. I believe we were really in similar positions.
Yeah, it was,
I won 2 of my fixtures, lost the one against Schalke, but you only managed to pick up 1 win against Heidenheim, losing to both Leipzig and Bayern Munich.
It's too bad. Two big teams to lose against, so I'm not too worried about it at this present moment. Early days.
But you say that, both of them are below me.
Yeah.
So Nadiri's also at the top scorer at the minute with the highest average rating of an 8.34. He's having a wonderful time. But of course, we mentioned at the end of last season possible departures. They happened. Looking on your side of things, Dad, the players that you brought in, I mean, we've got to start with this lad.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Diego.
Scout's done well finding this boy for me.
Yeah, 6'7".
Yeah. At 20, and he's already that good.
Yeah.
And his ability is just to get better again. So, yeah.
Looks fantastic already.
Yeah, he does,
He's off to the mark against Bayern Munich, so
definitely
really
think
good.
about locking him in, I think.
Yeah. And then Romeo Lavia, I think, is also a good player that you've
good
managed to
midfield
bring
player.
in, especially
Yeah.
for his age. You know, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
If you think about real life, but that's because he's so young when he burst onto the scene.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, good start to the season in terms of the transfers. But the switch up of tactic did throw me off slightly. I know you mentioned the change because of the goals, but I thought you got to a cup final and you got to 5th place in the league.
I just felt that it just next step up, and I think probably getting this young striker in made me think I want to lock him in. But do I really want to lose the other 2 strikers? One of the other 2 strikers, and you know what I'm like. If I've got 3 good strikers in my team, I will go for this tactic. So
you've arguably got 5 because you've also got Dia on the bench.
That's right.
Who's good?
So I know
Cameron Archer.
So I know if I go 3, I've got 2 reserves in there, which are good strikers as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I always do, don't I? If I go 3 up front, I've always got another 2, and I already had that by getting this 1 striker in. And I feel that my midfield's quite good, really. Mm-hmm. So it was just, for me, it was screaming at, really, to go with this tactic. So that's what I've done. I feel that the advanced playmaker right behind him, he's good as well. So and then I got 2 DMs, so I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. Well, I haven't changed my tactic. I was quite enjoying what I put on yesterday. I think I tweaked a role or an instruction to allow Nava. So I've changed these 2 around up front. So Nadiri is still a target forward, but Nava, who is left-footed, is the advanced forward because it suits him. And obviously that is one of the players that I brought in from Berisha's departure, Hector Nava, £8.5 million. Hasn't scored yet, only played 2 games, but of course I also brought in Tidiam Gomez from RB Leipzig. So he scored 4 goals from last season. I think he actually scored a goal against me when they battered me 9-2.
I think everybody did, didn't they?
Yeah, everybody just come on down, have a free shot. But no, I picked him up. Surprisingly, he actually wanted to come to me after that result. £12 million. It ain't bad at all. So we'll see if he gets some game time and see which one becomes more of a dominant force up there with Nadiri. But I'm happy with sticking with this, to be honest. Cup winners. We're both obviously in the Europa League. Let's take a look at our Europa League fixtures. We haven't looked at that yet. First time in Europe for both of us. I've got Roma, which is a bit of a difficult one in there.
It's not too bad after that, though, is it?
Yeah, it's all right. As long as there's a certain French team that I can't see, well, we're all good.
Better turn up somewhere.
They will show up at some point. I'm sure they do, the bloody rats. You're always 6 feet away from them, as they say, innit? Europa League, for you, Dad, you've got Chelsea away from home on the final day. You've certainly got the harder fixtures.
The 2 last games are quite hard, actually.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've got to do the business before I get to there. Really.
The first one, no
They're
easy
good
contest
side
either,
as
is
well.
it?
Marseille are a good side as well. So there's a few games in there I should win, but there's a few games that are going to be difficult for me.
Yeah, away to Red Star.
Yeah, I've just got to hope that what I'd class as the easier games, I get the result, and going away to Red Star is not going to be easy, but hopefully I'll get a result there.
All right then, well, let's see what happens. Can we qualify for Europe? Can we get even closer to that Bundesliga title? The first fixture of the season between our two clubs was once again a goal fest, and landing in my favour in a 4-3 win. Against Leipzig, I found myself 2-0 down, but managed to pull it back with two very late goals, and the equaliser itself coming in the 94th minute. We were, of course, both enjoying our first season in Europe, and in the Europa League phase, it was good for both of us, as we finish in the top 8 and go through to the round of 16 automatically. Domestically, Dad is struggling though, and he's lost to Leipzig again 3-0. But what's really scary about it is they are currently level on points at the top of the league table with Leverkusen for the Bundesliga title, while Dad has slumped down to 12th place, and weirdly Ryan Nadiri is running away with the Golden Boot. He also had the most goals in the Europa League too, as both Dad and I have reached the quarterfinals but faced two tough Premier League oppositions. Leipzig has thankfully dropped off slightly in form, but Nadiri hasn't, as he's just banged in his 25th league goal in 27 games. Despite defeating Manchester United in Germany, I still unfortunately lost 5-4 on aggregate in the Europa League quarters. Dad, on the other hand, was battered 5-0 across both legs. Nadiri kept up the goals through getting another one in a 2-0 win against Leipzig, which helped not only my Rostock side qualify for Europa League again, but to make sure Leipzig didn't get back into the Champions League. Oh, and Nadiri won the Golden Boot by 12 goals. Well, I think those little tactical tweaks really benefited
Didn't
me.
work for me, did it?
Not benefited you.
No.
Because changing the little tweak I did for Nadiri up front in that target forward role instead of being over here in the target forward role, I didn't think he'd be the goal scorer out of the two then. I thought it'd be more of like, the hold-up guy.
He's won that by a mile as well, hasn't he?
The 12 goals with the Golden Boot.
Almighty.
Mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. I'm also
Really
pretty
good.
sure now, he's one goal away from 100. And if you remember rightly, the very first season, I didn't have a striker, and this young lad was a 19-year-old in my youth academy. Now look at him. He's in the Bundesliga. He's won the Golden Boot, scoring 30 goals. I've never heard of him before. I wonder if you have. But Ryan Don Nadiri, the Don,
It's going to be in the 100 club.
unbelievable, yeah.
The Bundesliga.
He's going to score 100 goals for me next season, unless I sell him. Which would be hilarious. But there we go. He's also played against Manchester United. We got knocked out the quarterfinal. Cracking tie. You were destroyed, by the way, in the quarterfinal of your
5-0.
stage 5-0 on aggregate.
We got both done by the English teams.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, but yeah, I didn't
I'm
even get
pleased-
very far
I'm
at all
pleased to get
in
that
DFB Pokal after winning it last year. Second round by Munster, who is in the third tier. The third tier knocked me out there. Really good. I don't think you got very far either. Second round again, Bochum. Yeah, we were
happens, isn't
focused
it?
on Europe.
It's what happens. Your assistant takes over, and then that cup he just rests everybody, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Like you
Yeah.
say, the Europa League takes over then.
but what are your thoughts on this? Because it
didn't-
hasn't worked.
It didn't work. No, I agree. I'll definitely change it again. I will definitely change it because
The Tinker Man wants to tinker.
usually I would stick with it and go with it, but I felt the three strikers I had up there were good enough to score the goals to keep you up. I mean, I don't know how many goals did they actually score.
Bielek got 20,
Right.
so he was the top scorer for you.
So they did.
Your new guy got 15, which is quite good.
So they did score goals between them. So I got them into the double figures each one of them.
Answer
So
again, only 8.
yeah, that's my biggest disappointed. I think if he had done better, I think we would have done better. But obviously that could be where I could be changing it.
Yeah.
Go to the other two guys up front and change it somewhere behind them. So
All right. Well, money-wise, you got £19 million to do so.
yeah,
Which isn't bad considering the season was a big flop compared to
bad
last
season.
year.
Yeah,
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I've gotta
much
take that
they've
hit.
given me yet. 28 million.
Yeah.
So a little bit more.
well you deserve that. You finished
I'm
higher in
back
the
in
league,
Europe.
and you're in Europe again.
Yeah. Thanks to, as well, a great end of the season where I seen Dortmund and Frankfurt away from home, and I thought, well, that's me out of Europe. Yeah.
Two good draws.
Two very good draws. And
Yeah.
obviously beating Leipzig as well, 2-0 on the way, which, by the way, They still finishing above me, but they're nowhere near the top. I say nowhere near.
Only 8
the
points.
points, it's the very close at the top by a goal.
I mean,
by a minute.
you look at that though. I'm saying I had a bad season. You give me 2 points. Look where I would have finished, 8th.
Yeah.
So it then looks like I'm not that bad of a season. Then I was quite close to you then, so I wasn't far off, but I'm still disappointed though.
Give me 13 points, I'd have won the league.
Yeah.
With that
Yeah,
logic.
but I'm only talking about 2 points, and that would have put me in 8th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not too bad.
All right.
We're nowhere near relegation, which is the main thing.
That's it.
We're stable in that league now.
Yeah.
Which is what we wanted to be, and I think we just got to slowly build the squads, and then we're going to be pushing.
We're going to be challenging at
We're
some
going to be
point.
pushing there. Yeah.
Well, could it be next season? Depends on recruitment, I guess. Let's find out who we bring in. The recent cup final between Dad and I seemed to have rocked him after seeing me lift the trophy. Because his tactical switch has caused his side a lot more trouble than I'm guessing he was expecting, finishing down in 11th place after finishing 5th the previous season. Which could obviously affect him attracting new players, as his first target of the summer rejects coming to Dresden. And with him already committing to sell his current number 1, he heads to the shortlist for his backup option in Yaki Pena, who is currently at Bologna. I start the summer by signing Kai Rooney, Wayne Rooney's son, who needs a bit of development if he is to make the first team. I decided to spend a large chunk of my budget on Vinicius Tobias at right back. He's at Shakhtar Donetsk right now and is an instant upgrade. And that allows me to sell my current right back Van Uwijk for roughly the same price than a player that I got on a free transfer. I also target Sané from Porto, who although is a natural right wing back, I am planning to use more of a defensive winger. A left-sided centre back is something I had in mind also, and getting Valentini certainly fits that description for £5 billion. But it's back to Dad's Dresden side, as he is finally welcoming some new signings to the club, starting with Monchu on a free transfer. The transfers out of James Justin has increased his budget more, and he's currently sat on nearly £40 million, of course, with the transfer of Pena still pending. Which eventually he does get over the line for a rough £15 million, and that is a good signing for Dad. I am also spending £15 million bringing in Gabriel Silva from Sporting, who is an excellent striker and only 22 years old. But a quick flurry of transfers as Daz picks up himself a new centre midfielder, a cracking defender in Perez from Atalanta, as well as a right back from Rennes for 15 million. He's then left really frustrated having to search for another midfielder after Frankfurt stole his thanks to a very low minimum fee release clause, which I am also guilty of overseeing, as they did exactly the same for me with my left back this summer. The midfielder that Dad was targeting though wanted silly money, and there's no way he could afford those wages. And so he eventually pivoted and went for Emil Breivik instead for £7.5 million out of Norway. My left back replacement certainly wasn't as good as the one I lost, but it was the only one that I could afford. But the start of our 7th season was underway as Dad was picking up a nice 2-0 win at Augsburg, using another new system where he's dropped the striker Bielik into a shallow striker role instead this season, instead of going for a 3 up front. I was also enjoying a cracking start to the season away from home as we beat Cologne 5-1 and Ryan Don Nadiri picked himself up a hat-trick. In fact, in the first 3 games of the season, the target forward, playing in a more central role now, scored 5 times in the league. Dad was unfortunate to drop points against Mainz in the last minute, but both of us can be really happy with how our campaigns have begun.
Right, Frankfurt caused us a bit of trouble, didn't they?
Oh God Almighty! Didn't they
Activating
just?
release clauses.
Yeah, he was one of my best midfield players as well. He was the one player I really didn't want to lose because he's in a vital position for me.
What, everywhere?
Yeah. No, in that attacking midfield role.
Yeah.
Advanced player. He was my main player for that position. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed losing him. So
But they did exactly the same thing to me.
yeah.
They stole Lovic for £7.5 million, my left back. He was the starting left back for me, so...
The thing I'm worried about really, I mean, it's done it the same to you, like you say, it's just weakened our squads.
Yeah, because the player I replaced him with isn't as good. He's okay,
Yeah.
but nowhere near the standard of what the guy that I lost was, unfortunately. But I did manage to get Kai Rooney, so...
Yeah, you never know. He could turn
He could
good,
turn
couldn't he?
into... He's in my under-90s now. I'm not playing him right now. But you never know. He might be all right.
Well, Wayne's definitely got enough time to come over and watch him, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he ain't doing anything right now. He's twiddling his thumbs. But a couple of players that I did bring in that I'm kind of happy with. Gabriel Silva, I think, gives me another really good striking option there. Young as well, so he's got time to develop a little bit more. Already has like to beat the offside trap, which is a player trait that I really like.
Yeah.
Vinicius Tobias as well is a decent right back who can play all the way up the 3 that I'm using right now. So
Good
that's,
buy for
that's
you then.
good.
Clever
yeah.
buy.
Yeah, because I lost Lazaro on a free, which I didn't mind too much because I knew I had enough, because I also brought in Sané, who, again, does exactly the same role.
Plus, I already had 2 players that have actually kind of gone into the role. So this is my best 11 pick, and it's 2 players I didn't expect to see in the roles that they're in. Gomez on the right, and Mayen in that defensive winger.
I must admit, when I seen your team, I was surprised he dropped down to that position.
Yeah. I'm kind of hoping that Silva plays more than Nava at the minute. I think Nava had an okay season. It's just his pace worries me, that he won't score enough goals, because then it means I've got 2 players who aren't as fast, whereas if Gabriel Silva's there, it's kind of like the Crouch and Defoe style of strike force. And it's definitely started well. I mean, we've seen how great the season has been for us at the start. 5-1, 3-2, 4-2. I haven't played anybody amazing yet.
Still got the 3 points in the bag, though, innit, for every game?
That's it, yeah. But you're up there as well, if we're looking at schedule. I mean, you won your cup game 8-0. Only dropping points there to Mines, which was a 94th minute.
Yeah.
You're also
they
3-0 up.
I would say they scored 3 late goals, so that's a really bad draw.
Yeah.
If you look at it that way.
At home as well.
Yeah, I don't like doing that at home.
But if we're looking at your transfer window in general, Dad, you've brought in some really good players.
Yeah, I mean, the first one...
The keeper's good.
Yeah. I actually really wasn't that good, didn't he? But I think the freebie guys, did I get him this season? I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's the guy that replaces the one I lost to Frankfurt, really.
Yeah.
So I've done well, really, because I lost that guy for some money, but I got this guy in for a freebie, so
yeah,
that's quite good, really. I was quite pleased with that.
Dylan Levitt as well, he was looking for a club.
Yeah, I mean,
as an extra,
and he was a freebie as well. Yeah, I just got to the stage where I think I just get a couple of more players in just to strengthen the squad, really.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to get in with my first team because of the other players, so yeah, and I bought the guy from Rennes as well, just to strengthen the guy.
Yeah. Timothy Pembele.
He said to me, he said, I'll come to your team, mate. He said, as long as I can play against your dad's team. I said, you're in.
Yeah. Your dad's team, your son's team.
Oh, your son's team's alright, yeah.
I like your dad. Yeah, I think you've had a decent window.
I'm pleased with it.
Centre back, actually, we didn't highlight him. Centre back's a really good signing.
He was a good signing, yeah. I mean, he's 29, so well experienced, yeah, really good. Just strengthen the defence up. So I was pleased to get him, to be honest with you. I mean, I feel that I've definitely strengthened my squad up.
Yeah. Switch obviously from the 3 up front.
Yeah, I had to really, didn't I? But I didn't want... When I've done the best 11, this guy here I'm going to lock in, he was my leading goal scorer for the last 2 seasons, I believe, and he won in the team, so
yeah,
I just wanted to make position for him. And I noticed he can play that position, the... what is it? The
centre attack midfielder.
No, the shadow striker, isn't it?
Yeah.
I noticed he played that, so I just took him with training in that position, trained him a bit more to make him better in that position. But I wanted to keep him in the team, really, because he scores goals.
He's got 81 goals for Dresden, in a Dresden shirt.
So I wanted to make sure he was in my team still.
Yeah, you're 5th place in the league, obviously, after that start. So we're
I'm pleased with that.
Yeah, we're having a good start there. I'm on 9 points, same as Leipzig, same as Leverkusen. You don't have European football, Dad. I do. Let's look at my European fixtures and see what I've got in front of me right now. Lyon's up there, AZ Alkmaar, Lazio away. Should still qualify.
Yeah.
Should still go through.
I think you've got enough in the middle that you can win comfortably to get you through.
Absolutely. Right, well, let's see. Currently on top of the league. Will it stay that way when we get towards the end of the season as we race to the Bundesliga? Well, unfortunately for Dad, the trip to Leipzig wasn't a good one as he lost 1-0 to an early goal. The game I played before facing Dad was my first in Europe, and it was a 4-0 win away to Lyon. So you just knew that when it came round to facing Dad in the following fixture, the result would be the complete opposite to what our form suggests. And although we did manage to get back into the game through a very lucky goal at 2-1 down, Dad secured the win 2 minutes later with a third. But that has meant that Leipzig are now top of the league with a game in hand after winning all 5 games of the season. First match in October, and I was taking another battering at the hands of Borussia Dortmund, this time 5-0. We started to finally string a run of wins together as the game against top of the league Leipzig approached. Meanwhile, after beating me, Dad only managed 1 league win in the next 2 months before Leipzig then dumped him out of the cup in the 3rd round. So on behalf of both of us, I was hoping to give Leipzig a hammering when they came to Rostock. However, I couldn't have done any worse and they beat me comfortably 3-0. It was actually the other teams in the league that were giving RB Leipzig a hard time and beating them for us and doing us a massive favour. Possibly too good of a favour if you are Dad, because not only am I top in the Europa League, I'm currently first in the Bundesliga because of Leipzig's bad form recently, while Dad sits down in 7th. A loss and a draw later, and it's Dortmund who are now leading the pack, as the top 5 are split by just 4 points in this exciting exciting title race. And if Dad keeps up his January form going, there's nothing to say he can't join this title race too. February though was a tough month for Dad as he's facing both me and Leipzig, who he manages to get a draw against. Unfortunately for him, in the following match though, I defeated his Dresden side 2-0, and those are the 5 points he can't really afford to drop. I also though dropped 5 points with a draw to Frankfurt and a loss to Leverkusen, although I did defeat Dortmund in March, and that's put me level on points with Bayern, who have a far superior goal difference. I threw away such a good lead against Galatasaray in the Europa League first leg after conceding 2 late goals in the second, then another in extra time to be eliminated. But my league form has been perfect, and I'm sat at the top of the league by 3 points above Bayern Munich and Leipzig, who I have to play at the end of April and the beginning of May. What wasn't in the script was a loss to Bochum though, 3-1, which followed by a draw against Leipzig, and we're once again off the top of the league. And with just 3 games left, Bayern Munich have jumped into the driving seat again, 2 points clear. We kept up hope though with a 2-0 win against Hoffenheim, while Bayern Munich was beating RB Leipzig, which thankfully takes them out of the title race completely this season, and it's time to face the champions ourselves. And a cagey first half where we managed to take the lead through the league's current top scorer Nadiri in the only goal in the first half. But 10 minutes into the second half and Bayern Munich are pulling themselves level, which is to keep them top. It wasn't long before we claimed the lead again thanks to a rebound scramble, but yet again we failed to hold on to our lead, as in the 86th minute, Matisse Tell found the ball at the back post and crept in a leveller. But as the clock ticked past 90 minutes, we had to keep pressing on and believing, and with the ball down the left-hand side, another throw-in, and Jonathan Tah slams through the back of Nova, and the referee is being surrounded as the verdict comes through from the VAR that it is a penalty. And a penalty that Tobias smashed in to give us the 3 points. On the final day of the season, Bayern Munich won comfortably though 5-0, which meant we had to win also to lift the title, as a draw would not be enough. But stepping up in a Hansa Rostock shirt after 18 minutes was the Youth Academy graduate Yannick Mein to open the scoring. Nadiri then managed to bag yet another goal this season, claiming the golden boot, while new signing Gabriel Silva capped off what was a perfect day with a goal and of course the Bundesliga trophy. Challenge completed.
I mean, I've got to say it, well done. I didn't think one of us would do it this quick.
No.
And if I'm going to be perfectly honestly, I didn't think your team was good enough to win the league. Especially the tactic you was playing. It just goes to show. You come up with the right tactic with the right players, that's what happens.
Yeah. And luck as well. We cannot deny that I was very lucky. Towards the end of the season there, a 91st minute penalty against Bayern Munich has won me basically the league. Because at that point, I was in second place.
Yeah.
They are only a point behind me. I beat them twice in the league, home and away. And at that point, they were above me. I was going into that game, second position, beat them to go top.
Consistency in it. I mean, you were there or thereabouts most of the season. Look.
Yeah.
You had a couple of little dips, and then you got yourself right into there. So, yeah.
Every now and then, Leipzig was top at the beginning.
If you're going to beat them, the last minute is the best time to beat them, and the last game of the season, or second to last game, is a good time to beat them as well.
Then it was very much twitchy bum time against Gladbach, but within 19 minutes, we were all good.
If that had been me, I always lose against them.
Yeah.
They're my bogey side in the German league, they are. So, well done.
Yeah, cannot deny that. And if we think about it, I mean, again, the Golden Boot winner.
It's got to be one striker again, isn't it?
Ryan Nadiri. I mean, I have never heard of him before this challenge. He used to play for Dresden. He came through the Dresden Youth Academy, which makes it even more hilarious.
I'm just glad I wasn't around when he went to you.
Yeah, but if you remember correctly, in that first season, we bumped him up because I didn't have a striker. He scored 27 goals. He had some bad times as well. 6 goals in just the first 2 Bundesliga seasons.
When you look at that, 27 goals. That was his equal best season for you. Oh no, he had a 30 there.
The season before. But
yeah,
so he has been unbelievable.
And that like you say, you need that little bit of luck.
Yeah.
You get a kid like that come through and he bangs goals in for you. You're scoring goals, you're always going to win games.
He has been the hero of the save for me, for sure. I mean, I do really think I have a good team. I don't think I have a great team by any means. Like, this team has been okay, but I don't look at that and go, I should be challenging for the title.
No, that's not a title winning side, is it? I mean, just for curiosity, just go on the Bayern Munich side.
Yes.
And just see what players they have got in there.
Yeah. Didier Deschamps is the manager, by the way. If we're looking at Nelson Viper,
He's a really good world-class striker.
So
We'd all like
Matisse
him in a
Tell,
team.
I mean, he's a Spurs
Oh,
player.
he's a hell of a player, he is.
But he looks great on here. Musiala. I mean, look at that.
No, they're all 5 stars virtually, aren't they?
Yeah. Musiala's, I mean, Kim Min-jae, Upamecano, Diogo Costa's in goal.
Best keeper on this game, I reckon.
Their bench would get into my starting 11. All of them. Every single one would get into my starting 11. But, hey,
Well done.
challenge complete.
I can't believe you've done it this quick.
Neither can I.
I
can I.
I honestly felt we had another at least
3 seasons?
3 out of 4 seasons before we started challenging, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, because at one point, Bayern Munich was running away with it.
Yeah. They're only like 10 points clear, aren't they?
Yeah.
You think, well, you're not going to get that close to them.
So,
You beat them because they're always good at the end of the season, I always find. They always come through at the death, don't they?
yeah.
And you beat them at the death and you beat them by the point. Well done.
But there we have it.
Challenge done.
Complete. The race to the Bundesliga. And it's Hansa Rostock. The very first, before RB Leipzig, the very first East German side to lift the Bundesliga since the formation of Germany again in 1990. Fun challenge, though.
Oh, brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
So where do we go next? Do we keep racing to different leagues or do we try a different challenge? Well, you're going to have to make sure you are subscribed to find out when that eventually drops. And of course, keep your suggestions coming in the comments section. And if you're wondering what to watch right now, I took on a youth to goal challenge with a team from the 4th tier of Scotland. I absolutely hated it.